Hi, it's me. Um, I felt like we needed to have a chat. Need to have a little story time. Um, this has been a really tough week. It's been a really tough week, not just for the United States, but for the world, and it's been a tough week for humanity. Tough couple weeks, tough couple months, tough half a year. Um, it's an interesting time because I think what's going on right now and what's been going on for the last 6 months since January 20th. I think we've all been connected. I think we've all been hoping and praying and hoping for the best. And I think last weekend we got to see that no more hoping. And that it's about action. And I think the thing that is interesting is, pop culturally, I grew up in the 80s, and it's the idea of the revolution not being televised. And I think we are seeing a revolution right now. It's been going on for months in the resistance. And I think the interesting thing is, it's been going on for some of us for years. A lot of us have been actively fighting social justice and social causes and have tried to be good allies. And I think, a lot of us are wondering, what should we be doing? And I think the answer is that we should be continuing to fight in whatever direction that we're needed. I think this is about amplification. I think, there's a lot of things that are coming out in pop culture right now that, these are things that have needed to be discussed for, decades. So talking about, last night, Tina Fey talking about how, America actually doesn't belong to Americans, and to have, these white nationalists, Nazis, marching under the guise of trying to, protect something that, Americans stole from indigenous people, from Native Americans. So for me, as tough as all this is to see this coming to the surface, I also think it's a really exciting time because these are conversations that we should have had 20 years ago. These monuments that have become a point of conversation this week, these should have been taken down 20 years ago. This isn't a situation where we are honoring anything, and to begin to heal. I certainly can't imagine being in the position of many Americans where these are literally representations of hate and murder. And I think we need to start working to heal and working to change that. And I think, as a person that is, often identified as white, I'm a mixed bag, guys. I'm a mutt. So, but the thing is, I think as someone who, has identified and who also has, benefited from the privileges of being a white woman, versus being a woman of color. I know that I've had certain, things that have been handed to me because of, that. I've known that for a long time. And I think the best thing we can do right now as white people is to magnify and amplify and really, the Black Lives Matter movement is something that I don't know how anyone can think or say that that is a terrorist organization. This is an issue. And I'm really hoping that by looking at what's happened in the last week in the United States of America, that, the average white person realizes this is an issue. That if people of color or Native Americans would have mobilized in the streets with semi-automatic weapons, those people would have been in jail. They probably would have also been very hurt. And what happened in Charlottesville is a problem because it pointed out a lot of things. It pointed out that this crazy person has mobilized people and made them feel like they don't need to be afraid of showing their faces, that they don't need to be afraid of talking about violence and talking about hatred, because somehow this guy's in the White House. This is broken. Our systems are broken. And I think what this is all pointed out, all of what's going on around the world, what happened in Barcelona yesterday, is that people are in pain, people are scared, people are full of fear and hate, and we all got here together. We all got here together. And I think the interesting thing about this from a spiritual perspective, because I'm going to be your spiritual cheerleader right now, is we lost our sense of human. We lost our sense of community. We lost the ability to feel the connection to that global consciousness, that Christ consciousness. And we all collectively, whether, you're Christian or not, we all know that there is a prophecy about the second coming of Christ and about the Antichrist. And I think the really interesting thing that's going on here in the world is we have looked at these spiritual teachings as literal stories rather than what they are, which are allegories. And I'm saying that having grown up Catholic, and I think to spin it into a different angle, I think the interesting thing about what's going on is we literally have the antithesis of Christ in the White House, who will not condemn Nazis. That's not a little racist. This is about the extermination of human beings. This is the ideology. So we have the antithesis of a Christ-like character, you know where I'm going with this, in the White House. The number of the beast is money, which was created by human beings, which has totally created the situation we are in now. Greed and inauthentic power have done this. And sorry, white men, because you're wearing a lot of this, but the white male archetype, the patriarchy, these things combined have created the antithesis of this Christ-like character that we have all been taught about, turning the other cheek and the golden rule of treating others as you would like to be treated. And we all collectively in the last 30, 40 years have, as a human population, many of us, especially in the West, we have disassociated from spirituality. We have given up church. We have given up religion. We've said that doesn't work for us. That's bullshit. And now we're in a situation where we're wondering, like, why doesn't anybody have ethics? What's going on here? And what's going on here is we lost both community and religion, and now no one's being held accountable by anybody or anything. And we trusted that these government officials and politicians were all doing things for the right reasons. And guess what? We were fucking wrong. So we're in a situation now where there's a madman in power. He was probably installed by Vladimir Putin, because who would enjoy what's going on in America right now more than that guy? And if you think that that didn't happen, that's fine. But remember that this person is a KGB agent whose gifts are to manipulate people. And if you don't think that he could have put together this campaign to do what he has done and basically stop the United States in its tracks from any forward momentum by helping to install this guy because of money and power, if you don't think that happened, that's okay. But you cannot deny what's happening now, which is that this man called people to hate. He ran on a platform of hate. He hates women. He went to war with women first. He's gone to war with everybody, people of color, immigrants, transgender, LGBTQ community. It's asinine. He's literally taken aim at all of us. So this is where I go back to my point of the idea of the second coming of Christ. Is it, and I'm just going to leave this with you, is it that the second coming of Christ and the everything that's written in Revelation in terms of the Antichrist, is it that we're just returning to our Christ consciousness? Is that what that is? And I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is we've now realized that we can't leave anybody behind. This is about fierce compassion, and we need to pull these people into the boat, because if they're too close to the fire, we need to get them out. And I think, this is a call to action for everybody. Hold your racist relatives accountable. Hold your racist family accountable. This is not an ideology that needs to be in the world. Guns should be in museums along with these statues that are getting taken down. And for all of the people out there saying that what happened last weekend in the United States was not terrorism, it was terrorism. And what happened yesterday in Barcelona was terrorism. And people are using motor vehicles as weapons. This is where we are in 2017. And keep telling me that spirituality and religion don't matter. They matter. And the reason they matter is because of the ethics and the integrity. When you have faith in a power that is bigger than yourself, and you understand that there are rules in the universe of how things work and how things are, you're going to realize that you will be held accountable. And you may not be held accountable in this reality, but you're going to get held accountable. And I think the interesting thing about where we all are right now is everyone feels that sense of panic and foreboding when these things are happening. But you also hopefully are starting to feel the global consciousness and the higher vibration that's happening by all these people around the world standing up for good. And again, this just isn't about what's going on in the United States. This is going on all over the world, where humans and average citizens are mobilizing and standing up against governments, whether it be because of animal rights or climate change or human rights issues. People are standing up and standing together and saying, no more, not good enough. And it goes down to everything happening across the world. We're realizing that we haven't been told the truth. Or we just accepted it as the truth because it sounded pretty good. And that goes back to how we, as the relatives of colonizers, have treated indigenous people. It goes down to how we've treated African Americans who don't even know their last name because it was stolen from them. So to think in any way that as a white person that you are superior is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We are all the same. We're all made of the same stuff. And I would say that the thing that is supreme is when you can be vibrating higher as a human being and be able to say that you answer to a higher power, whatever you believe, whether it's a higher version of yourself or God or vibrating in Christ's image. Maybe we missed the boat, guys. Maybe we didn't understand that these stories in the Bible were an allegory and an analogy for actually treating other people the way you would like to be treated. So I challenge you to wake up, get it together, mobilize, and return to community. Start talking about these things. Start being with people. Start having these tough conversations and push forward, because yes, it looks like this thing's crumbling down, and this will be a defining moment for humanity, and we're all on the planet because we're supposed to be here, and everybody's got a job to do. So I challenge you to do that job, and prior to this magical eclipse that happens next week, which is incredible, and it's landing right in the middle of Donnie John's chart, the incredible thing about it is this is literally, we are witnessing the fact that we are on a ball in space. And we're going to get blacked out because guess what? We're not in charge. Bye. Love you.